Hello everyone, I'm Jack Fisher and welcome to my Sick Sad World. And in this video, I'm going to talk about characters that we love to hate. I know there are a lot of videos on that topic, but I promise this has nothing to do with hating a character because they're too perfect, too annoying, or personify some political agenda. Believe me, I have no desire to make this world sicker and sadder than it already is. Because it really is a strange dynamic when you think about it, coming across fictional characters that you despise as though they spat in your face while kicking your dog. Now, these characters aren't always villains, nor are they outright evil. They just embody everything you hate in anyone with a functioning brain. Now, there's certainly no shortage of characters like this in pop culture, but for a time, there was one character in one particular show for which I harbored a special kind of hatred. Now, that show is Daria, a show I praised before, celebrating its incredible narrative and unique perspective on the late 90s, early 2000s pop culture zeitgeist. And the character in question was Quinn Morgendorffer, Daria's younger sister and the utter antithesis of her cynical, monotone persona. Now, I'm not going to mince words when it comes to Quinn. I genuinely thought she was the most infuriatingly unlikable character for the first 3 seasons of this show. And for a show with so many other colorful characters, some of which were plenty unlikable for a variety of reasons, Quinn Morgendorffer still found a way to stand out. It wasn't just that she was the polar opposite of Daria. She was shallow, she was callous, she was manipulative, oblivious, and obscenely self-centered. Hell, she was the only one who could give Principal Lee's self-serving narcissism a run for its money. At times, she actually came off as a textbook sociopath, existing only to manipulate people, get what she wanted out of them, and then cast them aside the second they ceased to be useful to her. And for much of the show, Quinn never demonstrated a shred of humility. Everything she did, from the dates she went on to the people she interacted with, it was only ever in the interest of furthering her popularity. Because that was all she really cared about. She wasn't dumb, dense, or ditzy about it like Brittany and Kevin. She understood full well what she was doing. But she never stopped to think that there might be something wrong with all this, obsessing constantly over her looks and her status. I feel like that truly made her the worst, both in my eyes and in the context of the show. Because from Daria's perspective, there is no greater sin than not thinking for yourself and never questioning why or even whether something sucks. In so many episodes, Daria often says what needs to be said, pointing out every flaw, inanity, or absurdity in the world around her. By contrast, Quinn never bothers to see any of that. She's always more inclined to lean into the flaws of this world, while enjoying all the benefits and perks that come with it. I think Daria's best friend Jane put it best. She's cute. There are different standards for cute. There are even times when Quinn even seems aware of this. She knows her looks bring her many perks and privileges. All the boys want to date her. All the girls, minus Daria and Jane, want to be around her. But she never cares about any relationship that doesn't benefit her in some way. And whenever she has a chance to leverage her looks, she uses it. Even for something as mundane as selling candy bars to win a school-sponsored contest. Quinn is, by most measures, a despicable human being, the worst manifestation of every high school popular girl that ever existed. And while she rarely opposes Daria outright throughout the course of the show, she often stands in stark contrast to her, acting as a dark mirror of just how bad things can get when people are shallow and superficial. And yet, by the time the show ended, Quinn Morgendorffer actually managed to evolve. Yeah, she didn't evolve much, but she managed to grow just enough to make me stop hating her so much. Now, how this happened was quite remarkable. It is very much a testament to the quality writing of the show. Because for the first 3 seasons, there really was no indication whatsoever that Quinn was inclined to change. For the most part, every subplot involving her centered around being popular and navigating her role within the fashion club. And it's that last one where most of the conflict she faces plays out. Because in the sick sad world of Lawndale, the fashion club is basically the top of the popular girl hierarchy. Staffed by Sandy, Tiffany, and Stacy, these girls are just like Quinn in that they're obsessed with status and looks. And they're almost every bit as insufferable at times, especially Sandy. But I say almost, because Tiffany and Stacy just come off as ditzy and ignorant for the most part. And at no point in the show do they demonstrate they're capable of thinking for themselves. They're just blind, mindless followers. And Sandy, well, she's just a walking mean girl stereotype. And she never pretends to be anything else. And sure, that does make Sandy an outright bitch for the most part. But I contend that Quinn is still less likable because she hides behind her narcissism with this bubbly, cheery demeanor. For the most part, she's every bit as mean and manipulative as Sandy. She just conceals it with a cute smile. But regardless of their annoying personalities, the Fashion Club did serve one major purpose for most of this show. They effectively reinforced all of Quinn's worst traits. Around them, Quinn has absolutely no inclination or motivation to change, and nobody was in a position to convince her otherwise. Then, the first Daria movie, entitled Is It Fall Yet?, changed all of that. This movie, which is really more of an extended episode, marked a critical turning point for Quinn. It was also the key point in the series where my hatred for her finally began to temper. Now, a lot of things happened in this movie with multiple characters, but Quinn's story was the most understated, at least at first. It began with a simple revelation about her P-Stat scores, which is this show's equivalent of the SATs. She finds out that her scores are comparable to the rest of the Fashion Club. She's not dumb, but she's not overly smart either, at least according to the scores. And because of that, there's a chance that she might not get into the college she wants. Even if that college is just a party school known for its social programs, it still has an impact on her. While these scores don't bother Sandy, Stacy, or Tiffany, it does bother Quinn. It bothers her a lot. So much so that she argues with her parents about it, even though they don't even bring it up. Now that already is a huge shift, because Quinn has never indicated that intelligence or grades matter to her. Nobody has even criticized her for having low test scores, so this level of criticism is something she does to herself. And that's a lot of introspection for someone so notoriously shallow. And it's how she goes about addressing it that's truly remarkable. With help from her mom, she hires a tutor named David, voiced by MTV's Carson Daly. And unlike many of the other boys she encounters throughout the show, he is not overly smitten with her. He is not fawning over her like so many others, telling her only what she wants to hear. He actually tries to, tutor her. For Quinn, that's pretty jarring, a healthy young man not being infatuated with her. At first, she's defensive about it, but then, David drops the harshest of harsh truths on her. She's only popular because of her looks. And if she had any semblance of self-awareness, she wouldn't bother going to college, instead saving a seat for someone who actually wanted to learn. It's such a powerful moment, and I honestly feel like David was telling Quinn what we, the audience, have been wanting to tell her since season 1. Everything she is, everything that makes her so popular, it all comes back to her looks. That's it. There's really nothing else to her. No depth, no substance, no endearing qualities of any kind. She really is that shallow. And after hearing this from David, it finally gets through. For once, Quinn has a moment of self-reflection, and in that moment, she chooses to take this tutoring seriously. And David, despite being so harsh with her, continues to help. This all eventually culminates with Quinn attempting to date him. But unlike every other dating effort, there's a sense that she actually has serious feelings for this guy. He's not just another cute face. He's someone she's genuinely attracted to. It's the first sign that Quinn has honest feelings for someone other than herself. But then, David does the unthinkable. He rejects her. Somebody actually rejects her, Quinn Morgendorffer, the cute popular girl who every boy in Lawndale wants to be with. It's another powerful moment, and one that actually affects Quinn on a deeply personal level. It's so devastating that she actually seeks comfort from Daria, something she tends to avoid at all costs. But that just makes the moment hit even harder, because it further affirms that Quinn's story has taken a major turn. Finally, she isn't so empty and shallow. There's some meaningful depth to her, as well as a sincere desire to be better than her Fashion Club posse. The movie eventually ends with Quinn still acting stuck up and shallow, but it also made clear that this was a step in the right direction for her. And in later seasons, she continues to grow, showing that David's influence on her was not fleeting. she demonstrates a much greater willingness to think for herself and stand up to Sandy. She also becomes less antagonistic towards Daria, even siding with her on a few occasions. This eventually culminates in season 5 when, in one of Quinn's best moments, she finally admits that Daria is her sister. It was at this moment that I knew Quinn had grown beyond the insufferable bimbo she'd been for the first 3 seasons. Before then, it had been this long-running joke, Quinn denying that she was related to Daria in any way, even though they lived in the same house. On many occasions, Quinn avoided Daria or pretended she was an exchange student or something, because Daria being her sister meant risking her popularity and status, something Quinn was never inclined to do. But in this fateful moment, she comes clean. Nobody backed her into a corner or coerced her in any way. She does this by choice, and in front of Daria no less. The only one who is really embarrassed by the whole ordeal is Sandy, who thought admitting this would humiliate Quinn. But all it did was make her look like an idiot and an asshole. By the end of the series, it really feels like Daria and Quinn come to a mutual understanding. They're still very different from one another, and they may never see eye to eye on most things. But they are still there for one another when they need it. They will stick up for one another when the situation calls for it. And when one of them is in a bad place, they will help each other find their way out. When all is said and done, you still get the sense that Quinn has a long way to go in terms of being less insufferable. But at the very least, she's making an effort. She's striving to be better than her vapid friends in the fashion club. And after her encounter with David, it's clear that she is capable of having real, honest emotions for someone. We don't know where she ends up or who she'll connect with, but she is in a better place than where she started. And despite hating her for most of the show, I can't help but root for her. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for joining me in my sick, sad world. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, take care and stay safe.